Welcome to OVW's Justice for Families Grant Program, FY2021 Pre-Application Information Session. This session is for the Justice for Families Program FY2021 solicitation that was posted on or about November 23, 2020. It is strongly recommended that you read the full solicitation prior to listening to this information session. Application submissions are due by 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time on January 25, 2021, and will be submitted through a new two-step process. Applicants will submit the SF-424 and SFLLL in grants.gov and submit a full application in the new Justice Grants system referred to as JustGrants. More information on JustGrants is provided later in this presentation. The Justice for Families program was authorized in the Violence Against Women Reauthorization Act of 2013. The program supports activities to improve the capacity of communities and courts to respond to families impacted by domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, stalking, and in some cases, child sexual abuse with court-based and court-related programs, supervised visitation and safe exchange by and between parents, training and technical assistance for people who work with families in the court system, civil legal services, and the provision of resources in juvenile court matters. The Justice for Families program has 8 statutory purpose areas. However, the FY 2021 solicitation will only address 6 of these purpose areas. Applicants may address the following purpose areas. 1, supervised visitation and safe exchange. 3, training for court-based and court-related personnel. 4, juvenile court resources. 5, court and court-based programs and services. 6, civil legal assistance. And 8, training within the civil justice system. OVW is interested in funding projects that take a coordinated approach to helping families victimized by domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, and stalking as they navigate the justice system. In order to help achieve this coordinated approach, applicants may propose either a standard project or a comprehensive project. Under a standard project, applicants must propose activities under Purpose Area Number 1, Supervised Visitation, or 5, Courts. If an applicant is proposing to provide supervised visitation and safe exchange services, Purpose Area 1, the applicant must also propose activities under at least 1 additional purpose area. The court's purpose area, Purpose Area 5, can be addressed on its own or in combination with another purpose area. You may apply to any or all of the subparts of the purpose area. However, OVW will not consider applications that only propose pro se victim assistance programs under Purpose Area 5B, or only propose education and outreach programs under Purpose Area 5E. Additionally, Purpose Areas 3 or 8 cannot be solely combined with Purpose Area 5E, but may be combined if other purpose areas or subparts of 5 are also applied for. A project that only proposes training and education will not be considered. Lastly, due to the restrictions on providing civil legal services, that no more than 50% of the proposed project can support civil legal services, a project cannot propose activities solely from Purpose Area 6 and Purpose Area 5B pro se assistance. Under a comprehensive project, applicants must propose activities under Purpose Areas 1, supervised visitation, 5, courts, and 6, civil legal services. Applicants may include additional purpose areas in a comprehensive project application if they choose, but are required to include purpose areas 1, 5, and 6. Projects addressing pro se victim service programs under Purpose Area 5B and civil legal assistance under Purpose Area 6 must count all associated costs toward the 50% cap on civil legal assistance described under Purpose Area 6 in the solicitation. A project in which the primary focus is on providing civil legal assistance is not appropriate for the Justice for Families program and will be removed from consideration. Applications proposing activities in the following OVW priority areas will be given special consideration during the review process. 1, reduce violent crime against women and promote victim safety through investing in law enforcement, increasing prosecution, and promoting effective prevention. Applications meaningfully addressing Purpose Area 5A by developing or enhancing specialized courts, consolidating courts and/or dockets, and/or creating special intake centers will receive special consideration. 2, increase resources for courts and tribes to register protection orders in NCIC and give access to tribes to crime information systems. Applications meaningfully addressing Purpose Area 5D by developing or enhancing safe and confidential information storage and information sharing databases within and between court systems will receive special consideration. 3, increase efforts to combat stalking. To receive special consideration, applicants must clearly identify how they will meaningfully engage in efforts to combat stalking. The solicitation lists specific activities that are outside the scope of the Justice for Families program and will not be supported by the program's funding. Applications that propose activities that are deemed substantially out of scope may receive a deduction in points during the review process or may be eliminated from consideration entirely. The grant award period is 36 months. Budgets must reflect 36 months of project activity, and the total estimated funding on the SF424 must reflect 36 months. We anticipate that the award period will start on October 1st, 2021. Funding levels under the Justice for Families program for FY 2021 are as follows. Standard projects, up to $550,000 for the entire 36 months. Comprehensive projects, up to $650,000 for the entire 36 months. New applicants are those that have never received direct funding under the Justice for Families program or whose previous Justice for Families funding expired on or before January 25th, 2020. Continuation applicants are those that have an existing award or an award that closed after January 25th, 2020. Continuation funding is not guaranteed. Please note that grant recipients that receive funding as a lead applicant under the Justice for Families program for 36 months in FY 2019 or FY 2020 are not eligible to apply. Current grantees with a substantial amount of unobligated funds remaining, that is 50% or more of the previous award, as of March 31st, 2021, without adequate justification, may not be considered for funding, or may receive a reduced award amount if selected for funding in FY 2021. Eligible applicants are limited to states, units of local government, courts, including juvenile courts, Indian tribal governments, nonprofit organizations, legal service providers, and victim service providers. Please note that a law enforcement agency is not considered a unit of local government. Also, prosecutors' offices are not considered courts and therefore cannot serve as the court partner or apply on behalf of a court. All applicants for the Justice for Families program are required to submit a certification of eligibility. Applicants proposing projects under purpose areas 1, 4, 5, or 6 will be required to submit additional certification letters. Read the Other Program Eligibility Requirements section of the solicitation very carefully to determine which letters may be required for an application. Contact the Justice for Families program at ovw.jff@usdoj.gov if you have any questions about certification letters. All applications for the Justice for Families program must include formal partnerships with both a nonprofit, non-governmental, or tribal domestic violence or sexual assault victim service provider and a court. Applications that do not meet this requirement will not be eligible for Justice for Families program funding and will be removed from consideration. Partnerships are formally demonstrated through an MOU and in some cases, a letter of commitment. Here are some partnership scenarios to help determine what partnerships are required. If a court is the lead applicant, it must have a domestic violence and/or sexual assault victim service provider as a project partner. If a domestic violence and/or sexual assault victim service provider is the lead applicant, it must have a court as a partner. If the lead applicant is neither a domestic violence and/or sexual assault victim service provider nor a court, it must have a partnership with both a domestic violence and/or sexual assault victim service provider and a court. Applications that do not meet this requirement will not be eligible for Justice for Families program funding and will be removed from consideration. Review the eligible applicant section carefully for the definitions of court and victim service provider. Please note that a prosecutor's office is not considered a court. Victim service providers must also be a nonprofit, non-governmental, or tribal organization or rape crisis center. This does not include governmental victim service providers located within a governmental agency, police department, prosecutor's office, etc. Have a documented history of effective work concerning domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault or stalking. Provide direct services to victims of domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault or stalking as one of their primary purposes, and have a demonstrated history of effective work in this field. Please note that there are a few differences between standard and comprehensive projects. Standard projects have a 20-page limit, while comprehensive projects have a 25-page limit. Additionally, budgets must include funds to attend OVW-sponsored training and technical assistance in the amount of $15,000 for standard projects and $20,000 for comprehensive projects for states, and $20,000 for standard projects and $25,000 for comprehensive projects for territories, Hawaii, and Alaska.
All Justice for Families applicants are required to submit a Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, letter or letters of commitment, LOC, or both depending on the circumstances of the specific applicant. Applicants are generally required to submit an MOU, a document containing the terms of the partnership and the roles and responsibilities between two or more parties. However, courts that are precluded from signing on to an MOU may submit letters of commitment in lieu of an MOU. Note that letters of commitment submitted in lieu of an MOU under circumstances other than described in the solicitation will not be accepted. The solicitation provides the circumstances under which an applicant may be required to submit an MOU, LOC, or both. If the court is the lead applicant and unable to sign an MOU, all project partners should submit LOCs and no MOU is required. If the court is a project partner and unable to sign an MOU, the lead applicant should still submit an MOU signed by the applicant and any other non-court partners, and the court partner should submit an LOC. If the domestic violence and/or sexual assault victim service provider is the lead applicant and the only project partner is the court should submit an LOC, but the lead applicant is not required to submit an MOU or LOC. The solicitation provides detailed guidance on what an MOU and/or LOC should contain, including formal partnerships with both 1, a nonprofit, non-governmental, or tribal domestic violence and/or sexual assault victim service provider, and 2, a court. Contact the Justice for Families program at ovw.jff@usdoj.gov if you have any questions about MOUs or letters of commitment. The next couple of slides are going to discuss and focus on aspects of your application that relate to the documents that our financial team, the Grants Financial Management Division, GFMD, reviews. More specifically, we'll discuss some items that GFMD has identified from prior year applications that could help with expediting our review process. So for today, we're going to highlight certain aspects of the data requested with application and the pre-award risk assessment, and provide you a link to a detailed webinar on how to develop the budget that will be included in your application. The first things we'll highlight are the items identified in the data requested with application, which is completed by all applicants. Specifically, 2 items we would like to discuss are the single audit response and the IRS 3-step safe harbor process. OVW requests that all applicants provide a statement as to whether they have expended $750,000 or more in federal funds during their last fiscal year. If they have, then they indicate that and also specify the end date of their last fiscal year. However, GFMD is finding that applicants do not always include this information and leave out whether or not they have met the threshold, or the end date of the fiscal year is not included. Please ensure this question is answered in its entirety on the data requested with application, question number 3. So another item we'd like to highlight from the solicitation is specifically for nonprofit organizations. If you use the IRS 3-step safe harbor procedure to determine your executive's compensation, you must reference the additional information section that provides the required disclosure letter. We'd like to highlight that there are 4 parts of this disclosure letter that must be provided to OVW in order to comply with this requirement. The sample letter that outlines all 4 parts of the disclosure, so please be sure to follow the sample and provide a response to each of the 4 pieces, question number 6. The next item we'd like to discuss are the pre-award risk assessment, which assists GFMD during their pre-award risk assessment review for all applicants. Each applicant must prepare a response to all 11 questions, and each question has multiple parts. We've noticed from prior years that applicants do not always fully answer all parts of the questions, which in turn requires GFMD to reach out to the applicant, which may delay recommendations. Some of the most common issues that we've encountered have been, for example, question number 2, where the applicant indicates that they do indeed have internal policies, but they don't provide a brief list of topics covered in the policies and procedures. Another example of incomplete responses include question number 3, where the applicant does not provide a brief summary of the organization's process for tracking expenditures, and more specifically, whether or not it tracks budgeted versus actual expenditures. So these are a few examples, but basically, please make sure you read each piece of each question and provide a full and comprehensive response. This next slide will quickly highlight some resources that are available that should be used as you are creating the budget to be submitted with the application. Over the last year, GFMD has worked to develop a detailed webinar presentation on how to assist applicants in developing a budget to be submitted with their OVW applications. They want to help reduce any challenges you may face with the budget and make it clear for what they are looking for when they review your budget. This webinar provides some insight as to what OVW financial staff considers during their review. Use the following link to review the budget. The webinar can be found under the budget information section on this page. Next up is the uniform guidance, which can be found at 2 CFR 200. Then another resource is the DOJ financial guide, as well as the program-specific solicitation. If you need assistance finding these resources, please contact the GFMD Help Desk. We know this can be a lot of information to process. So if you have any questions about the GFMD information discussed, please feel free to contact the GFMD Help Desk at 888-514-8556 or by email at ovw.gfmd@usdoj.gov. When ready to apply, applicants may find this funding opportunity on grants.gov by using the CFDA number, grants.gov opportunity number, or the title of the solicitation, all of which can be found on the cover page. The FY2021 application submission process is a new two-step process this year with significant differences from the application process in previous years. Application materials will be submitted in grants.gov and JustGrants. We recommend starting the application process, even just the grants.gov and JustGrants registration process, as soon as possible to allow for learning the new system. Read the solicitation carefully to understand all steps required to submit an application and the time to complete those steps. Some steps, such as obtaining a Data Universal Number System or DUNS number, or registering for the System for Award Management, SAM, or grants.gov, may take several days to complete. We recommend applicants begin these processes as soon as possible, but no later than dates suggested in the solicitation. Applicants must complete the application for federal assistance, SF-424, in grants.gov. The specific information required for this step is included in the information to complete the application for federal assistance, SF-424 section of the solicitation. Applicants must also complete and submit the disclosure of lobbying activities, SFLLL, in grants.gov. After submitting these forms, the applicant will receive an email notification from JustGrants to complete the rest of the application in JustGrants. If the applicant is a new user to JustGrants, the email will include instructions on registering with JustGrants. New for FY 2021, applicants will submit the full application, including attachments, in JustGrants. If you have applied for OVW funding in prior years, you will notice some significant changes in the application process. In the new JustGrants system, applicants will enter some application information directly into text boxes in the system, fill out web-based forms, and upload some documents as attachments. We have included the following major elements of the application as examples of what applicants will submit in JustGrants. The proposal abstract will be entered in a text box. The data requested with application will consist of responses to posed questions and uploaded as an attachment. The proposal narrative will be uploaded as an attachment. The budget worksheet and budget narrative will be entered into a web-based form. The Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, and/or Letters of Commitment, LOC, will be uploaded as an attachment. In addition to these major elements, other documentation will be required for all applications or when applicable. Read the solicitation carefully for a full description of all items required within a specific application. In JustGrants, each applying entity will have an assigned entity administrator who is responsible for managing entity-level information and assigning roles in the system. The entity administrator is also the eBiz point of contact designated in sam.gov. For more information on registering with JustGrants, please refer to the website jusgrants.usdoj.gov. Within 24 hours of JustGrants receiving your application from grants.gov, the user submitting the application in grants.gov and the SAM eBiz point of contact will receive an email to register for a JustGrants account. The email is from DOJ's Secure User Management System, Diamond, and will include instructions on how to create an account. To ensure that you are receiving those emails and that they are not flagged as spam, we recommend adding diamond-no reply at usdoj.gov to the trusted sender list in your email settings. The eBiz point of contact at the applicant organization serves as the entity administrator and must log in to JustGrants to confirm the entity's profile and add users. The user submitting the application in grants.gov serves as the application submitter. Within minutes of completing your JustGrants account registration, the application submitter and the eBiz point of contact, or the entity administrator, users will receive an email from JustGrants with a link to the application started in grants.gov registration. Alternately, the applicant submitter can log into JustGrants and locate your pending application numeric digits, excluding grant on the grants.gov tracking number, in your task list on the home landing page. For example, if the grants.gov format is grant 9999999 and JustGrants format eliminates the word grant and is just the numeric numbers. The entity administrator will need to log in to JustGrants to review the authorized representatives associated with the entity. If an authorized representative needs to be invited, the entity administrator will need to invite the individual to receive a JustGrants account. Note that an organization can have more than one authorized representative, as long as those individuals have documented authority to sign an agreement with the federal government. These actions are required before an application can be submitted. Within minutes of being invited as an authorized representative, the individual will receive an email from diamond-no reply at usdoj.gov with instructions on how to create an account in DOJ's Secure User Management System. Once the authorized representative receives the email and completes the steps to create an account, the authorized representative will be available in JustGrants. The application submitter will need to complete the application by entering data into web-based forms, uploading documents, and attaching assurances and certifications. The application submitter will also need to select the authorized representative. Once all sections are completed, the application submitter will submit the application. Upon successful submission of an application, the application submitter, entity administrator, and authorized representative will receive an email from JustGrants confirming submission of the application. The Department of Justice has made a collection of self-guided training resources, including training and a virtual Q&A session on application submission, available at the website displayed on this slide. Recipients of OVW funds must comply with applicable federal civil rights laws, which among others prohibits recipients from discriminating on the basis of national origin and disability. This includes taking reasonable steps to ensure meaningful access to grantees' programs and activities for individuals with disabilities, deaf individuals, and persons with limited English proficiency. Applicants must include funds or other resources in their budget to support activities to ensure access for individuals with disabilities, deaf, hard of hearing individuals, and persons with limited English proficiency. Again, applications are due by 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, January 25th, 2021. Applications submitted after 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on January 25th, 2021 will not be considered for funding. Carefully review the How to Apply and Submission Dates and Times sections on pages 24 through 27 of the solicitation for applicant actions with required deadlines and OVW's policy on late submissions. Submitting the application components at least 48 hours before each deadline, grants.gov or JustGrants as applicable, will enable applicants to receive notice of a failed submission and provide an opportunity to correct the error before the applicable deadline. If you have any programmatic questions after reviewing the solicitation in full, such as whether your entity is eligible to apply or if a particular activity is allowable under this program, contact the Justice for Families program by emailing ovw.jff@usdoj.gov or calling OVW at 202-307-6026. If you have any financial questions, contact the OVW Grants Financial Management Division by emailing ovw.gfmd@usdoj.gov or calling OVW at 202-307-6026. If you need technical assistance with grants.gov, please contact the grants.gov applicant support line by emailing support@grants.gov or by calling 800-518-4726. If you need technical assistance with JustGrants, please contact the OVW JustGrants support by emailing ovw.justgrantsupport@usdoj.gov or by calling 866-655-4482. This concludes the FY 2021 Justice for Families pre-application information session.